I believe that we have commenced.
So first on the agenda is library. I really don't have an update. I don't think things have changed since the last meeting. Basically, they're in a pattern of collecting funding for an expansion, and I don't think the trustees have really taken a position or a direction one way or another.
What exactly are they doing again, please, Bill?
Well, they're doing a little fundraising to do their ADA accessibility project.
And how have they actually told people what it is that they're doing with the funds?
I would assume so. I couldn't answer that for sure.
I think they decided against getting an architect at this point, but they're still continuing to collect funds, basically.
Okay, interesting.
So that's really
Gotcha.
the update I have for that.
Okay.
So if we are all prepared,
Can,
oh, I'm sorry, please.
Ask Shirley to mute her thing until she speaks.
Shirley, can you mute your mic until you...
I wouldn't know how to do that.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
So then the next item would be the green energy.
So green energy, we're currently in the process. I put a number of documents in your packet. What I'd like to start with is,
They're all stapled together and
yeah, well, there's some that are loose and there's some that are stapled, assuming you have everything. So the first thing is, you have a chart that we've seen before. It's 2015 year data. It's the 11 by 17 sheet, 11 by 17. It's stapled to the back edge of the...
No go.
I have this.
Yeah, I've only got a small one page.
This is what she
It
gave
says
us.
energy conservation measures.
Yeah, that'll suffice, okay, so we can look at that one. So this chart is taken out of our energy plan book that we had prepared at the onset of the Green Communities program. And a number of these projects we've already completed. We're currently in the process of applying for the competitive round again. So we've come up with a number of projects. So you don't have the stapled packet.
No.
No.
I'm sorry about that. So anyways, basically what this says is, had conversation with Matt, and we went back and forth and have communicated with CMRPC on the projects. And the projects that we're identifying, some of which are listed in your chart here, so you can kind of, I'll get to that in a minute.
No,
Yeah, some of them are in the chart, so you can kind of get an idea of what the projects are that we had identified as potential projects. We've completed some of those. The projects Matt wants to move forward with are the fire station heating system and weatherproofing of the building. He asked me to solicit some input from the school department, and Jeff had sent an email. I'll just read it quick. It said, "Hi, Bill. I'm suggesting we finish upgrading the rest of the high school lighting to LED lighting. The hallways, gym, auditorium, cafe, lobby, and site lights have been upgraded to LED. Please let me know if this is sufficient for information what you need." And he gave me a list of classrooms, 48 classrooms, library, 4 teacher prep rooms, 2 book storage rooms, 1 TV production room, 23 bathrooms, 3 conference rooms, 15 offices, 4 guidance offices, 1 fitness room, 1 AD office, and multiple closets. So that probably doesn't take the full allotment of funding that we might have the ability to get. And that's what this sheet is that you were talking about. And like, this kind of gives you an idea of the funding that's available. So this sheet is the last grant we got, which was 2 years ago, and it's $221,000. worth of funding. I spoke with CMRPC. They said that we can probably expect the same value for this round. So we, apply with projects that qualify. We potentially could again get that value in terms of green projects. So looking at the projects that Matt had identified, we're probably deficient. I'm kind of guessing because I don't have good numbers from this, by about 50,000 roughly. We've been using a firm by the name of ECI, Energy Conservation Inc., to act as what's called a project coordinator. We haven't been terribly pleased with their productivity, and so we're looking to switch out from ECI. The project expediter would help us scope out the projects and put dollar values on those for our grant application. So this will be going on over the next month. Okay. That's when we have to file for the grants and that sort of thing. So those are what we have laid out. If you have thoughts about something you think is a priority, let me know. I'll bring it forward to Matt, and we'll talk to CMRPC about submitting that. Now, in terms of the firms, I've contacted two that are fairly local. A lot of these firms some are in Rhode Island, some are in Connecticut, they're all over the place. So I'm looking at one firm that's up in Central Mass, Northborough, I think, and then another one that's not too far away. Hopefully, getting some local references, so in the process of collecting references so that we can talk to the communities that they work with, so we can change from ECI to somebody else.
Sharon, I got a question
Please,
for
I'm
Bill.
sorry.
Did you say the heating system on the fire department?
Heating, cooling.
Okay, because on this list, it's lighting and weatherization.
Right, the heating and cooling wasn't identified as part of the report, the initial report. So this report,
But we're looking at HVAC as well.
right.
So there should be a note on this, okay.
Correct. So this is taken out of our initial report, which is about 4 years old.
Yeah.
And, so the numbers are a little out of date and the projects are a little out of date.
Yeah.
This is intended to be a live, moving kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Do you have some sort of value on that HVAC?
I don't. I'm relying solely on what Matt thinks it might be.
Okay.
And ECI will scope it out with us, or
Yep.
the comparable counterpart that we select.
You're not talking about this document dated September 17th, 2019?
No, that's to give you an idea of the money we're looking at,
Okay.
Sean, to be awarded.
So that 86,000 number is just a speculative number, referencing
No.
the police station
That's already been,
improvement.
That's
been
done.
awarded,
That's
and
done.
those projects are completed.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Sorry.
I have another question. Under this green communities things, is there anything that they do for vehicles?
Yes, I
And
did.
the reason why I ask is there's multiple departments requesting some vehicles on capital, so I just want to see
Yeah,
if there's
they have
anything
a
that could
whole-
possibly help them.
They have a whole push. They actually have a push for not only vehicles, but also the charging stations.
Yeah?
So, if we wanted to identify a location to have an electric vehicle charging station, we could put in for that. And we also, I do believe they fund vehicles also. I did talk to Sarah from CMRPC, and she said, yes, they do vehicles. That's something that would qualify for some grant money.
So that would be something that, I'm talking about on capital, there's some requests for vehicles on this. So I'm just, because I'm on this committee, I'm just asking the question about the availability. So would that be something that, I'll bring that information back to capital, so then it would be up to them or the administrator or yourself to pursue that?
The way we've been doing it, and again, if the committee has a strong preference towards pursuing something, let me know and I'll carry that forward to the administrator.
Yeah.
Our role is to advise and give recommendations to the selectmen. And as the Green Committee, which you've been designated, you certainly, I would think, have some input on the ways that the grant the allocation gets dispersed for each grant round.
Yeah.
So if you think that it's important to pursue a particular type of grant, let me know, and I'll just bring that forward to the administrator.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think what I'll do is I have a meeting with Capital next week on the 2nd. I'll present this information to them. If somebody has an interest to it, then they'll have to contact this committee to pursue it, I would assume.
If I may.
Yeah.
I mean, my understanding is if you were to purchase, you would, as an individual, would have purchased certain types of motor vehicles that are primarily electric, which do have a limited field of drive that is not equivalent to a solely gas-powered vehicle, that you can get as much as $7,500 in refund back to on your income tax as a rebate. I don't know if those sort of rebates exist for the benefit of a town if it's making purchases of electric cars. I'm not sure how you equate that or how you
Bill
transform
may
that.
know some of that information, because there's not only just solely electric cars, but a hybrid type thing that would be gas and
I apologize.
and electric. So it could be a combination of both, but as far as the dollar amounts that would be available to the town through this committee, that would be something that,
I have a question. So would the,
oh, I have this.
so if we
That's just
to
the
get
same
energy
staple
efficient
thing
cars
with
and
from the school
charging
department.
stations, would that come out of this 220 grand, or is that whole separate grant awarding? Do you think, Bill?
It would come out of the 220.
Okay.
So it would be a component. So
I see.
they call it a competitive grant, but what my experience has been, if you have a viable project that meets the DOER's criteria for improving your energy efficiency, then they'll fund it. And that's what I've seen to date.
On vehicles, do they do 100% funding, or is that a partial?
No, it's a partial funding, is my understanding. I did talk to Sarah about this at CMRPC, and she had indicated that, I want to say it's between $5,000 and $7,500. I'm trying to find the email that I have with her. Getting a lot of the same email here.
Oh, I did have that, Bill. I just didn't know it was stapled.
Oh,
I thought it was like a separate.
Oh, hey, Bill,
oh, you got it too.
it's on the back of that stapled form. Okay.
It was a test, Bill, and you were admirable in dealing with it.
Let me pull up my email with Sarah.
Just maybe of something of interest and benefit to the town is why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, gas prices going up.
They're only gonna go higher.
I know.
Okay, so Sarah says they will not fully pay for it, but in past grants, she has seen $5,000 towards purchase or $3,000 towards lease for hybrid or plug-in, or $7,500 towards the purchase or $5,000 towards the lease of a battery-operated vehicle. I'm not sure if these numbers will change in the new solicitation, but that should be released any day now, and I don't anticipate the amounts to change significantly. So if you'd like me to carry some specific recommendation to the administrator
For a vehicle?
for whatever projects that you want to submit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, as far as the vehicle, I'd rather bring that back to the capital committee and let that proponent actually pursue it if that's what they want to do.
Sure, sure,
I don't think it's right for me to direct them into what they should be getting.
right.
Well, plus from a business perspective, there is a certain benefit in having those charging stations, because there are people who do choose what restaurants they eat at and what facilities they attend to based upon their ability to secure relatively cheap charging for their car. Like there are, like for instance, the town of Thompson and its little fancy restaurant area has its electrical car charging ports nearby. To say that that's the only reason anybody goes there would be, of course, ridiculous. But it's certainly, I would suggest the factor. And I know people, I know individuals in whose mind it is a factor in terms of going and participating in that neighborhood and bringing in small amounts of money, but still, if it's to a local restaurant or business, isn't that a positive?
Right. I know I've been at the state BBRS meetings within the last year, and on their current code requirements for electrical, they made charging stations mandatory on the commercial projects, and so many per parking spot is on a graduated scale. Residential, they put it on reserve for the moment, but it will end up on all new residential builds at some point. It wouldn't be a bad thing to have. We should have one in this parking lot, really.
What's the cost of a charging station?
That's a good question, Ginger. I don't have a good answer for you. I believe those would be 100% covered under the grant application, but again, you're competing amongst projects with yourself, because we're looking at a total dollar of about $220,000. So,
Right.
We got to prioritize, number one, what we think will qualify from the DOER for a project, and then which projects will get the biggest value for us.
Right.
The charging stations would only be pursued, I would think, on the town level if, in fact, they purchased an all-electric vehicle that wouldn't need to be charged. If it was a hybrid, it doesn't require, and there isn't even a charging station for that. So.
Well, it would still be good to know how much they charge, how much they cost, and if it makes sense to even have one in town now or soon. I mean, hopefully, pretty soon we're going to have a vehicle that needs a charging station.
If you buy a Tesla, you can charge for free.
I'll go right out and get one.
Okay.
So the purpose of this is so the projects we're talking about currently with Matt, fire station heating and cooling system, weatherproofing of fire station, the lighting retrofit at the high school, and then I saw a previous conversation I had with Matt back in November. He was talking about the old town hall, which is the post office and the senior center, and that's actually on our old list for projects for interior lighting and weatherization. So if you have some input, I'm happy to carry that forward. Otherwise, we'll just keep working ahead. We're looking at, prior to our next meeting, we'll have probably all of this finalized and submitted.
Good.
So with that, if there are no other questions, issues, or concerns to be raised, we can move on to the municipal backup generator.
Yes, Matt has, Mike and I had a meeting with Adam Furno regarding this, and we thought it'd be good to utilize the services of an electrical engineer who assisted us when we were applying for the Community Compact Cabinet grant for an emergency center here at the town hall. We thought we could take the town meeting appropriation that we currently already have, supplement it with grant from the state, marry that money together, and then have a more complete project. We did not get the grant. So in retooling, we're looking at downsizing the scope. Mike, Adam, and I thought it would be prudent to use the same individual who helped us. He came through, walked through the building, the engineer, to get a price proposal for him and basically move forward with that particular engineer. He did that work gratis for us. He knows the site. He knows.
Plus you have prior history with them with the school
He
project.
worked on our school project. He did a good job there. So we have experience with the individual. Nonetheless, Matt thought it still warrants going out for an RFP, or at least soliciting 3 proposals from engineers, so that we get somewhat of a competitive basis for the award. So I'm in the currently preparing a little scope of work for that project so that we can solicit some pricing from engineers.
Yeah, so just so everybody understands, the issue that we have is this building was built in 1920 and it's added on to 1950. And there's all these different control panels everywhere. And that generator that's outside was never properly sized for the building. So now it's a matter of properly identifying what our needs are to make sure they get the right generator in there instead of just swapping out what we have that's still inadequate.
It's not ideal having it as close to the building as it is, with it operating in fumes and whatnot.
So what are we actually going to do at this point? I mean, what you're saying makes sense.
Well,
So I'm going to prepare a scope of work for at least 3 engineers to give me a price quote on a proposal
for design.
Good. Yeah, good.
for the design. And then we're going
Right.
to take that, we'll award it to the 2N engineer. They'll prepare some bid documents and design plans and put that out to bid for construction.
Okay.
So that's where we're at.
Okay. Well, that's basically what has to happen anyway, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
So with that, if there are no other questions, issues, concerns, we can move on to the Bad Luck Pond Outlet Bridge.
Okay, we had our bid opening. And in your packet should be a summary of the results. The project was estimated at a construction cost of $816,000. The low bid was R. Bates and Sons at $584,735.
Wow.
Unfortunately, they found a math error on their end and asked to withdraw their bid. We allowed them to withdraw their bid, and that gives us the next lowest bidder, which is New England Building and Bridge at $649,210.75. So we're in the process of reviewing the projects they've worked on and their references and their surety that they've provided. And assuming that's all good, we'll probably award the contract in the near future, and then the project will get going. From planning board's perspective, they signed the easement taking plan last night. The selectmen should, at one of their upcoming meetings, be voting to take the property. It did pass at town meeting authorizing them to take the easements on these abutting properties. And once that occurs, then we'll have the right to go on the properties and widen the road and do stuff like that.
Got a lot of bids.
Yeah, with 16, amazing.
Amazing. Never seen something. Wow.
Any questions, issues, concerns? Then we can move on to the municipal fire alarm.
Yeah, I haven't done much on that. That's it for that.
Then with that, we can move on to the municipal gymnasium and windows.
Gym windows, I'm in the process of preparing bid documents. Again, Mike, Adam, and I had some meetings, and we felt it was probably prudent to do the design in-house, put it out to bid with that design, with plans and specs, and basically get some competitive bidding on it. So I'm in the process of preparing some bid documents, largely using GRLA's design and documents from the police windows project and municipal windows project. There's going to be some minor deviations from those, but between Adam, Mike, and myself, we expect to get a good set of bid documents that we can get a good price on. A lot of the problem when you go right to the contractor and you don't have a set of drawings is one guy's got one thing in his mind, another guy has a different thing, and they're apples and oranges, and someone may have an advantage when it comes to the bidding because it's not equivalent materials. So all of that comes into play. And if we get a set of drawings and we spec everything out, we like to think that we're going to get a more competitive price.
If there's no issues or concerns to be raised on that item, we can move on to the senior center flooring.
I'm going to have to ask for Mike's help on this.
Yep, that's fine. So that was approved at town meeting. However, Patrice is applying for a grant to see if she can get that covered. Either way, she can get the flooring done, but it's on hold until she finalizes that grant process.
Okay.
So that's already been funded at town meeting.
Correct.
So if there are no questions, issues, or concerns to be raised on that agenda item, we can move on to the public safety radio system.
I'm going to have to kick that over to Mike.
That's also been voted on and funded at the town meeting. And now it's just it's in the design phase. Matt is using I believe he's going to use Marcus Group, which is on the state approved contractors list. They did all the preliminary work in design on this system, so I don't see why he would go somewhere else, but I'm confident that that's the direction that he's going in, so we're just waiting for those documents to come back and process to start. But I think that's probably about 12 to 14 months out before that project will even kick off.
Does that require any infrastructure?
They're going to retrofit the existing tower up on the Webster line. The mono system is already monopole is already on the water tank. They're going to put on it's like a 15-foot tall antenna they're going to mount onto the school roof. And then they're going to use fiber optics to communicate from the school to this building up to the fire station. Those other poles are going to be repeaters. The only other thing they may have to add is another repeater down at the state forest if they find that they have weak coverage. They're confident that it's going to work, but there's also that possibility.
Thank you.
So it sounds like, they're complying with procurement requirements and
Correct.
by
Yep.
using the state contract. So a large part of what we do is, follow the procurement procedures and make sure we're doing things properly when it comes to hiring consultants and contractors.
Yeah, when I went through the capital, we went through a pretty extensive breakdown of everything, batteries, everything, maintenance. So we tried to cover all ends of it to make sure that it was a viable project that would actually get completed after getting voted on through the town meeting. So I'm confident that it's going to move forward.
Good.
Which, unless there's no other questions or concerns to be raised on that issue, that leaves the minutes of November 18th. I did miss that particular meeting, but I don't know if the board has had an opportunity to review those.
Do you have a copy of the meeting minutes, Ginger?
No, I do not at the moment. But
And Shirley, do you have the November 18th meeting minutes? Yes. You are nodding yes, it seems to me. So should we wait till Ginger is present, or until?
Do you want us to just look over these, Ginger, and see if there's any questions, or would you like to?
Vote on them.
Would you like to have a copy of them?
no, just go ahead. We can't keep holding stuff up.
Yep, that's fine.
We do have enough?
Can we not make a remote vote?
Huh?
We can't make a remote vote? Shirley can't assent over the?
Yeah, she can.
Yeah, she
Okay.
can. She can.
But we have enough people to vote on it.
Right. That's fine.
Yeah, 3 of the 5, yeah. Well, Ginger can vote on them
Sure she can? Yeah.
if she wishes. So.
Actually, I don't know why I don't have a copy, but I don't.
We wouldn't want to bring you too out of the dark.
What fun is that?
So everything on the November meeting, Ginger, is, we just talked about all of it tonight, and is no different than what we talked about.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, but there's nothing on there that's controversial that you would be
I think we
concerned
talked
about.
about green communities.
Right, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So let's just go ahead and vote.
I'll make a motion to approve the November 18th, 2020 Building Facilities Construction Committee meeting minutes as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
So Ms. Brown has made the primary motion, Mr. Fitzpatrick has seconded. All in favor of accepting the minutes as drafted, please assent by saying aye or raising your hand over the screen if that makes it easier.
Aye.
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 Unmute, Shirley, you have to unmute.
Wiggle your ears if you're saying yes.
Or raise your right hand, Shirley, if you assent or if you're opposed. If you're opposed, raise your left.
Yes.
There we go, yes.
Shirley Muzinski, aye.
Thank you, Shirley.
And as for the abstentions, one abstention, so the matter passes unanimously with Ms. Brown, Mr. Fitzpatrick, Ms. Howe, Ms. Mazinski voting in favor, and Mr. Holland abstaining. That then leaves our upcoming meeting schedule, our upcoming meetings scheduled for February 17th for the next meeting, if there's no objection.
No objection from me.
Meeting schedules?
Yes. I believe you did.
So we're going to do anything with these other two meetings in a minute, or just hold them off?
We didn't, I thought we had done some.
Did we do them?
Yeah, I checked them, actually.
All right, so these are all set?
Yeah, the only one that's on this agenda is the one.
All right.
And we needed to reorganize, right?
Oh, yeah, it's not on the agenda, though. Did we reorganize?
No, because the last meeting it says we decided to hold it off.
I make a motion to appoint Sean and Shirley. Sean as chairman and Shirley as vice chair.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Sean.
Aye.
Thank you,
That
Shirley.
has been passed unanimously.
Since we finally got it here.
And I would move to adjourn. What the heck?
Oh, wait a
Extraordinary
minute.
day
Hey,
of motion.
Ginger, are you good for February 17th for the next meeting?
As far as I know.
Okay. She reserves the right to withdraw that.
Absolutely. As
Yeah.
do we all.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
The matter has
Second.
been- the matter has been moved, seconded, and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right.
There being no opposition, the matter is carried unanimously, and we are, the meeting is over at 7:35?
7:34.
7:34.